Greetings and happy Tuesday. We are in week 13, and I want to go over this week's announcements and reminders. So this week we are meeting synchronously, okay, from 5:30 to 8:30. However, we may not last the entire time. It really depends on how quickly we get through both the book study presentation and this week's readings in terms of our discussion of those readings. So I have emailed you all the link to the Zoom meeting. It includes a password, okay? And so just make sure that you read your email and that you use the password to access the meeting. This week, the book study presentation is going to be provided by the STEMsters. So thank you, STEMsters, for agreeing to present this week. The book study presentation, you'll be allotted an hour to give the presentation. Somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour. That should be about the length of the presentation. So just want to make sure that everyone was aware of what group was presenting this week. So excited about that and excited to see what you all come up with. Okay, so this week's course readings were chapter 10 in Banks, chapter 7 and 8 in Hammond, and all the readings are accessible in the content folder. Okay. There was a video for this week called "Becoming a Reflective Teacher." Okay, so I hope that you all get to watch that, of course, before we have our discussion on Thursday. And then just make sure that for the remaining groups that you continue to work on your book study and be prepared to present on the 23rd. Okay, and continue to work in your reflective journals. Okay, so I do want to go over the book study presentation, the assignment as it's stated in the syllabus. Okay, so this book study, the goal of the book study, and as I mentioned last time during our meeting, the goal of selecting the books that were chosen, because they are youth books, is so that you can gain some insight about the lived experiences of youth, being that that's who you teach. And that these are great books as a possible resource for your students. And it's definitely something that you can utilize to develop lessons from. And so the book studies are helpful, right? And know that some of you have probably participated in book studies as a part of your PLCs. And it's helpful because it helps to promote growth and knowledge, right? Of not just of instruction, but also of the experiences that our students have. But it is a great tool, right, to look at these these ways in which culture intersects with gender, how it intersects with class and race. It's really great to see these intersections. And so the books that were selected were chosen for that reason, because these books really highlight kind of the intersectionality of all of the various pieces that make us who we are. And so this is an opportunity for you all as educational leaders to really look at what your book is focusing on in terms of the issue or the problem that's being isolated by the authors, and to educate us, okay, on this topic, and to highlight aspects of the book that we should be knowledgeable about, or that is important for us to know to improve our own practice as educators. Okay. And again, this goes back to that reflection piece of why it's important to be a reflective practitioner. And so as a community, you all read the book or are reading the books. Okay. And you are providing, you're going to give a presentation on the reading. Okay. So these are some of the questions that you should consider when developing your presentation. Okay. And that is, of course, what is the central idea? Okay. So what is the central idea of the book? What was discussed? What issues or ideas is the author tackling? Okay. Or trying to explore? Did your book offer a cultural portrait? And if so, what was that portrait? Okay. So really develop that, explain it. Okay. Provide details, and also think about the relevance of this cultural portrait to your own teaching experience. Okay. And do the issues in any way affect your life? Okay. Your own personal life, you as an educator, some of the issues that you read about in the book, how have they affected you as an educator in your own life? and really thinking about this both on a daily basis and more generally. Okay. What evidence does the author provide, okay, as in the book, to convince or to make definitive points, or to outline the points of view within the text? Okay, so remember, we want to be evidence based, so we want to make sure that we're identifying that evidence that the author is providing. Okay, of course, as always, what are the implications for the future, for future practice, for future instruction, and really look at some of the long-term and short-term consequences to the issues that are being related in the book. Okay. What specific passages struck you as being very significant, something that you thought was awe-inspiring or challenging? So what aspects of what specific passages do you want to share that you found to be significant? And then, of course, after all of this, what have you learned, okay, after reading the book? Has it in any way supported any of your existing beliefs or ideas? Has it helped to broaden your perspective? So that is, those are some of the questions that you should be answering as a way to guide you through the presentation that you're going to give, that you're going to offer. So, of course, what should be included in this presentation? Well, we want to first make sure that we know the title of the book, okay? And so make sure that you provide the title of the book, and also if you come up with a creative title for your own presentation, make sure that maybe you incorporate aspects of the title of the book within your own title for your book study assignment. Okay. Outline the intended audience. So who was the intended audience of the author? Okay, so who is this book intended for in terms of the audience? Make sure that you share the background of the author. Okay, so it's not just their education and their training, but it may be some other aspect of their bio that you think is relevant to the discussion about what it means to be culturally responsive. So that is something that you should share. Okay, provide a detailed description of the premise or the central idea of the book. Okay. So that is something that we need to know. It's not just the audience, but also what is the central idea? What are the central issues being addressed? Again, making sure that you outline the evidence or the examples that underscore the book's premise. Okay, make sure that that's a part of what you're sharing. Implications of the reading. So what instructional ideas or suggestions do you have for your colleagues that have been generated from the readings, okay, or based on what you've read in your book? What impressions were you left with? What were some of the things, as I mentioned earlier, that were awe-inspiring or illuminating? And then what were some of the things that were disturbing to you? Okay. And then lastly, how has the reading of this book introduced you to culture, okay, or the use of culturally responsive pedagogy? So many of you are already open to the idea, right, of using CRP, but in what ways did the reading of this particular book assigned to your group, or chosen by your group rather, how did that further open up your perspective about using CRP, or how has it further supported it? Okay, and in some instances, your response may have been, well, you don't want to, you're not really into using CRP. I would hope not, but hey, again, this is a safe place for you to share your thoughts and feelings about what you've read and the impact of the reading. Okay, so this assignment is 80 points. Okay, so pretty significant as an assignment. And so when I am grading, I am going to be looking at did you include aspects of the elements that are outlined in the syllabus, with probably the majority outside of the title. The majority of the points are going to be allocated from letters D through H, okay, because that's where we're getting to the meat and potatoes of your discussion about the book. Okay. So making sure that you place heavy emphasis on D through H of the items listed in the syllabus. Okay. If you have any questions at all about the book study, about your presentation, feel free to contact me. Okay. I hope you all have a great rest of the week. I look forward to seeing you Thursday. Bye.